Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Steve Sawyer here with the Developmental Trauma Training Institute, here for another Facebook Live. Again, thank you to all you that are following us and sharing our information and watching our YouTube channel. So, reminder that all of our talks are available on our YouTube channel. And my team today asked me to talk about hope, and in that we interact a lot with the therapist world, and in that lately lots of reports coming in from therapists and helpers out there in the communities with interacting with people that are feeling pretty hopeless. And you know, we live in a challenging time. There's lots of things going on. We have financial struggle for a lot of people here in the United States. We have political things going on. Lots happening, environmental factors. And to talk about hope, first I want to talk a little bit about hopelessness. I just did a training, Digging Roots 2.0, and in that there's a arc that I walk through with people that's called the Hypoarousal arc. And I've mentioned it on some of these different recordings, but in that I wanted to walk through that, and then how do we walk towards hope. So first of all, our nervous system, when we get stressed out, it could elevate into a more sympathetic or activated arousal, which is more like our flight and our fight responses, where our nervous system elevates and really goes into a space of activation to act, to run, escape threats, and to fight threats. After the culmination of that throughout time, particularly in people with developmental trauma, this can all get loaded up in the nervous system. After a person has been overloaded, there's a state called collapse, where the nervous system collapses and goes into a space of, includes freeze response. People talk about freeze response a lot. But collapse is a deep state of the nervous system being overloaded. It's like stacking books. You know, if I had them in my hand here and I stacked books, it would get heavier and heavier and heavier, and eventually my arm would not be able to hold that and would collapse. It would lower. And so we draw out that hypoarousal arc as a downward arc, kind of like going down in a hole. So oftentimes when people are feeling somewhat hopeless, it's like their nervous system feels like it's in a hole, you know, feels stuck. And that's the culmination of not just one event, but many events throughout time. And when people grow up in developmental trauma or any kind of stress state continuously, the nervous system can give up. And so to talk about hopelessness, then to talk about hope, first of all, that progression of that hypoarousal arc is, you know, that somebody feels overloaded, starts to feel depressed. So this is where depression comes from. It's the continuous overloading of the nervous system's ability to act and do what it needs to do, and it kind of gets embodied and weighs down on the nervous system, just like that handful of books would get too heavy after a while. My arm would start to give up. And when we have that, it starts to feel overwhelming. Oftentimes anxiety will be a part of that. Hypervigilance response, I talk about it on here, where I'm so focused in the outside world around me that I lose touch of who I am, and I lose sense of presence in the here and now. So that gets loaded up and the nervous system compresses. The next stage of that process is often depression, where the culmination of being externally focused and feeling overwhelmed, the nervous system gets heavy, slower, and sympathetic arousal drops. And my ability to fight or flight from what I'm dealing with, it's overwhelmed, so I feel cornered and I can't get out of the corner. And the nervous system freezes. We try to become invisible. So freeze response often comes from a place of trying to become invisible in the face of a lot of threats. Our thinking locks up. We can't really respond well and can't strategize or plan on what we're doing. Beyond that, from depression, we get into different various responses there. Shame is one of them, very self-depleting. I talk about that in our shame trainings. I call it the land between the living and the dying, because we're awake, we're present at some level, and we attack ourselves. So that's when we, instead of just dealing and responding to what's outside of us, we can't do that anymore, then we start to attack ourselves. So that's very depleting, a very depleting emotion, shame is. And then collapse is to literally, from depression into collapse is so weighted that the body just gives up. This is when people can't get out of bed anymore at all, and can't move. So in that span of that, it's an increasing level of hopelessness. So what is the way out? Well, the nervous system gets very locked up, and collapse response can be very debilitating, and people will be trapped in that. And yes, there's all kinds of things that are done in the Western medical world with medication, etc. And it starts with small steps. So to find hope, first we have to be present with where we're currently at. I was listening to an audiobook yesterday, Dan Millman, The Laws of Spirit. So the law of presence, which is, he talks about there, is first of all, to sense where we are, to know when we are, and to know who we are. So three things that we can assess for our own presence. That hypervigilance external will just continue to overload us with stress and keep us compressed and in a collapsed state. When you look at what's happening in the social media platforms with constant inoculation of fear and right with that, advertisement. When we're stressed enough and hypervigilance and we're in a fear state, we want to do something. And then when we get those ads to purchase something, our need to act, it's an advertising scam, I guess, to be in a state of fear and then put ads there to reach for them. That's why I talk about social media a lot, because in that people are being fed constantly lots of messages of fear and world catastrophe, etc. I was driving and then took a break yesterday, and of course I have compassion for people that are facing this typhoon that's going on, and it showed up like 4 or 5 times on my Facebook feed. It's not even where I'm from, so that where am I, to be right where I'm at right now, that typhoon is not going to directly impact me. I have compassion for the people that are facing that right now as I speak. But to know where I'm at is to start to draw a boundary. Boundary is a huge part of overloading our nervous system. So when our nervous system is overloaded and we're compressed, we're in that collapse, depression, or hopelessness, to start to draw boundaries. So what is a boundary? A boundary is about drawing a line between me and somebody else, or me and an outside factor. And that's why that who am I, where am I, when am I? Right now, where I'm sitting in this current moment, I'm watching an incredibly beautiful sunrise. I'm present here in Bend, Oregon, after a long drive yesterday. And who am I? I'm a person who supports the community and in that tries to help others. When we get aware of that, who am I, where am I, when am I? Now it starts to draw a line and a boundary to these outside threats that are coming at me. This is where the social media platform often is just feeding us fear so that it feels overwhelming, so we need to act and purchase. And so to be able to get present right here, right now, is the first step of working our way out of that hypoarousal act. And if we're in touch with who we are or where we are right now, and we're overwhelmed, to start to have boundaries of understanding what I could take action with. Now, when somebody's nervous system is collapsed or extremely depressed, those first steps are really, really tough. And my wife, Carrie Sawyer, a co-founder of DTTI, wrote a wonderful post and blog yesterday around presence too. So I now start to draw a boundary to these things that are overwhelming me. And in that I'm not taking all of it on at once. That's why people get frozen in that hypoarousal arc. They get frozen because there's so much out there to take on. I need to draw a line of being right here, present right now, and spending time here. So that's where people with meditation, breath work, etc., prayer, whatever it is, to get present with myself right now, so then I can step forward one little step at a time to come out of the hypoarousal arc. When people are really deeply stuck, it helps to have somebody help walk them out of that. In a way, we like when we use brain spotting and other forms of therapy, or those of you that are mental health clinicians out there, we gift our presence, our lack of hopelessness, by being present with someone. But we don't get hopeful by us telling somebody quit being so hopeless. We have to actually go and shake hands with that hopelessness. And what is the hopelessness coming from? And really to sit down and look carefully at what all that is. We can start to map that out by just even listing them, and sometimes that's what the opposite of hopelessness is, like vision boards, like people talk about. But what is culminating in my hopelessness? What are all the factors? When we do that and we really get present right here, right now, first, and then we start to map all those things out, it starts to give a strategy to be able to take action on one tiny step at a time. I loved writing, I was just reading this morning where it was, doing, Carrie just did a post. It's like don't go do all the dishes in the sink, do a couple. If the house is a mess, to do small 5-minute efforts towards moving forward. When people are extremely collapsed, hopeless, or depressed, in that it's tiny steps. So what's one tiny step that I can commit to make an effort even right now? And it might take an incredible amount of energy to take that first step. And this is how we unfreeze the nervous system. Now, when it's really deeply collapsed or in deep depression mode, we have to really be in touch with where we're at that time, and then be able to lay out what's culminating, what are all the books in my hand that are actually mine. So right now, a lot of people are taking on all this environmental stuff that's going on and feeling hopeless from all the stacks of the books. But what are actually mine right here, right now? And then those things still matter. To have compassion and for the struggle that's going on around us is a human connection thing, but it can overwhelm us. That's where that boundary comes in. So by me setting a boundary and saying, okay, this is the small action I'm going to make for myself that's a direct impact on me feeling overwhelmed, depressed, or collapsed today, then we can start to move our way forward. But we do have to shake hands with the hopelessness we have and where it's coming from. We have to map out what that is. What are all the books that I have stacking on my hand? And then which ones are mine right now? And then to have that boundary of not receiving more. So when we spend hours scrolling, when we spend hours on Netflix or binge watching, we still have external information going in, and that's where we're sitting and having a little moment. And even if it's only 5 minutes, even if it's only 2 minutes of time of presence in the morning, of that sense of where am I, right? When am I? What time is it right now, and where am I at? And who am I? By just taking that presence, then from there, now I can start to take little steps of action. Small little steps. A couple of the dishes, clean up a little bit of the room, to not be overwhelmed, to respond to what's one small step I can take on maybe the financial struggles I'm buried in, etc. So when we are coming out of that collapse arc, it's small little steps, one little thing at a time. And so, thanks for your question there. There was a question about what book I was talking about. It's called The Laws of Spirit by Dan Millman. He's the one who wrote had the movie The Way of a Peaceful Warrior. He's got a great series of books. It's they're actually fiction, but stories of just different kinds of awarenesses. But in that, The Laws of Spirit was an interaction with somebody, talking about an elder, a spiritual guru, that was, really talking to him about presence in there. So that progression of stepping from hopelessness and collapse, having a boundary, so not taking more in and not trying to take it all in at once. That's why people stay stuck in collapse mode, depressed mode, hopeless mode, is that they're so overwhelmed by so much that's in front of them. And by that boundary, me being present right here, right now. Now I take one tiny step, I do a little bit of the dishes. What's one thing I can do towards maybe the financial crisis I'm in, etc. And then progressing from there. When we try to take on the entire pile of books, we will stay stuck, we will stay in collapse mode, and we can't move. So from there, to be able to take one of those books and make small efforts on it. When people are truly deeply depressed or collapsed, that tiniest step can feel really, really heavy, and that's where help sometimes in that process. That's where being with our family or somebody helping us make some effort gets momentum. So to go down in that collapse arc and come back out, it takes momentum. We have to put that energy into it a little bit at a time. We do too much, then we're exhausted, we're overwhelmed, we give up again. So in that, you're welcome for the book. So in that, we take one step at a time out of this collapse arc. We're not going to feel hope right away because we still have a stack of books that are there. But once we have a little bit of movement, then we can start to take a look at maybe 2 books at a time, taking them off of our hand. And it's about climbing out of that hole. And it reminds me of a recovery joke, which was, a person that was trapped in addiction was down in a hole. And here's a joke for your day, you all. This person who's struggling with addiction is down in the hole, and a psychiatrist comes by and says, "Oh, you're stuck down in that hole. Let me help you out." And he throws a bottle of pills into the hole, and it's an antidepressant. And then another person comes by and looks in there, and they're a person who's been on a recovery journey, and he jumps down in that hole with the person and says, "What are you doing? Now we're both stuck in a hole." And he says, "No, I've been in this hole before. I know the way out." And so helps that person get up out of that hole. That's where supporting each other. That's where connection to our family, our connection to our community. Talk about this in Cut from the Herds, building a web of support. That's where we help each other when somebody's hopeless. But we do not instill hope by saying, "Don't be hopeless." We actually instill hope by helping persons take small, little actions. That boundary that I'm talking about, once we have that set, now we take the small steps with strategy and effort to climb the way out of the hole, a little bit at a time. This is how we get to hopeful. So we don't get to hope and get out of hopelessness by just saying, "Don't be that." We do it by jumping down in that hole and saying, "How can I help you?" To have a compassionate response, to come from that heart-based connection, and then helping just even a little movement, a little bit at a time, you all. There's a lot going on in the world today, and in that, to take one little step at a time. Don't take on the full set of books. What books are yours that are affecting you right now, and what can you take action on? And ultimately, do all the books matter? Absolutely. They absolutely do. But if we're overwhelmed, we're depressed, and we're down in a hole, we can't climb out of the hole with an entire stack of books in our hands. So taking on one book at a time, lowering the load on our hand. We have to start closest to us and then work our way out from there. And there are definitely things that need to be addressed in the environment around us, etc. But start here first, in your heart, being present with yourself. Where am I? When am I? Who am I? And then from there, taking one little step at a time. One step gets us out of the hole a little bit more. Don't take it all on at once. Don't try to jump out of the hole. If that's where you've been stuck, or you know somebody who's stuck right now, please, share this with them, that it's okay. Everybody has bad days. Self-compassion. When we shame ourselves, self-compassion is the first step of that. A lot of people are overwhelmed. A lot of people are struggling right now. And in that, self-compassion versus self-attack and why am I like this and those things, that's also keeps us in that hole. That's part of the shame, part of that hypoarousal arc I was talking about. As we climb out that hole, we might not feel hope for a while. You might get a little bit ahead, and in that, hopeful and to come to a full sense of hope is very much out on the edge of that hole and looking forward. You can't look forward and feel hope when you're still in the hole. So in that, to climb our way out one little step at a time, one little bit of dishes at a time, one little financial issue at a time, step by step, with the support of another, helping each other get out of the hole. We don't help each other by attacking each other and all these other things that are going on. It's by getting a little bit of step at a time and helping somebody walk themselves out of the hole. So I hope this is helpful for you all. I know there's a lot going on today in everybody's life. Thank you for joining. I appreciate all you. I appreciate all the comments and thanks for following us. Again, lots of teachings on our YouTube channel, Developmental Trauma Training Institute. It's right there on YouTube and also on our live feeds here every single week. You can go back for Tuesdays Aways. Facebook only lets us store a certain amount, and then they got to go to the YouTube channel nowadays. So thanks for joining. Hopefully that brings you a little bit of understanding. To get out of a hole first, we have to recognize it. So recognition, is the first step of change. And hopefully this can help some people recognize a way out. So take care, everybody. Have a beautiful week, and be on here next week, same time, and probably a different place. So take care, everybody.